We're talking to Jim Barber, who is a music journalist, and you mentioned living out in the Kingston area, and you mentioned Canadian music, so I have to ask you this about the impact of a band like the Tragically Hip over the years, and have you ever had an opportunity to interview any of them?
Yeah, I mean, you can run into the three guys that still live in Kingston on any given Friday or Saturday night. You're going to run into Sinclair, Baker, or Langlois. And I've had a chance to interview Langlois and Baker a couple of times, but I've also had a chance to sit down and have, and shoot the breeze with them. They're just incredibly approachable guys who've given a lot back to the community. And I think we kind of saw, I wasn't fortunate enough to get into that show, but living here for the last 8 years, you realize the importance and the impact that band has had on this area, but also Canada in particular. And one of the interesting things is that, there's other great acts that have come out of Kingston around the same time. I've seen pictures in a high school yearbook where, there's three or four guys from the Tragically Hip, but Huey Dillon from the Headstones went to the same high school at the same time, and so did David Usher of Moist, all at the same time.
Wow.
And, and then so, Hugh broke, they were in bands together in high school and after high school, and Huey went and did the Headstones, and David Usher went and formed Moist, and, Jeff Pierce, who's not in Moist anymore, but he was, went to high school here in Napanee, where I'm from, Avril Lavigne's hometown, and
right.
Yes, I have spoke to her. Yeah, so it's just, you realize the impact that they continue to have, and the thing about the Hip guys is they're just good guys. They're just good Kingston,
good Canadians, right?
Good Canadian boys and everything like that,
Two more things before you go.
Yeah.
Right off the top, we talked about vinyl and you opening it up and looking at, the gatefold and that. How do you consume music today? I mean, I know that albums are making a comeback, but how does Jim Barber consume his music? Do you buy it on iTunes? Do you still go out and buy records, or how do you do that?
Not. I am old. I like hard. Now, if I had a proper turntable and stuff, I would probably be all over vinyl. I actually live in a pretty small place, so I don't have a lot of room. I still buy CDs. This is how dumb I am. I get free downloads sent to me by publicists if I'm interviewing a band. I will still go out and buy the CD because I want the package.
Right.
I want the physical copy in my hand so I can look at, especially a lot of the stuff coming out of Europe where they actually still value hard copy. A lot of the great European rock and metal bands and labels over there still really put the really cool artwork, and, it's double gatefold and opened up, and there's great reading material inside. And
Frontiers Records.
Frontiers is one of my favorites. AFN is another one. There's just SPV is a good one, and I mean they still believe in that stuff as being important, and it's. I really think all of this stuff is a North American phenomena. I talk to artists from all over the world, and they say a lot of their fans still like to have a physical copy, whether it's vinyl or whether it's. I think vinyl's kind of trendy right now, but I think CDs are still kind of holding their own. And, I like to joke that when the apocalypse comes and the cloud gets destroyed and there's no more digital disc, the people will be coming to me because I'll be the one
have all the
sitting
hard copies.
I'll have all the hard copies sitting, I'll be, laying around all these hard copies. So I like books too. I like books.
Oh, me, books. I love books. I read,
so yeah, I mean, I interviewed Gus G. From Firewind a couple months ago, and they sent me the download and everything. But there's a little independent record store guy here in Napanee where I live, and he ordered it in for me because I wanted the hard copy.
You do regular contributions to musiclifemagazine.net. You write great material. Where else can people check out your journalism? And if you can answer this briefly, what is the future, I guess, of journalism in music as we move forward?
The future is don't expect to get any money out of it ever. And I think it's going to be, I think it's like journalism in general. I think it's got to take a hard look at itself and see what it is and what its purpose is out there. I think right now, there's not a lot of critical journalism in any field. It's when people like, and I'm as guilty of that as anything. I interview bands I want to. I don't interview bands. I don't get somebody telling me to write about, a country act or something like
Right.
that. So I'm not being particularly critical. Now, I try to write a good, in-depth piece that, I hope people read my stuff and they don't think, well, he's a fanboy. That I do my homework. I've been given kudos by publicists and managers and artists by saying, that was a good interview. You did your homework. That's, to me, success. But I mean, what is music criticism? There is none anymore because you don't want to have the labels cut you off. Before, the guys in the paper, in traditional newspaper media, those people had a little more influence and power, and you could be a little more critical and a little more honest and open. But now, if you want to get into, you don't want to tick off Live Nation, you don't want to tick off Sony and those guys, because if they'll just cut you off. Because they don't need the straightforward. There's so many bloggers out there.
Right.
There's so many fans out there who, if you can write half decently, and you're good with web stuff and SEO, you can get a website going. And so it's hard for people to tell the difference between somebody who's a professional and somebody who's just an enthusiastic amateur. And I think it's only going to get not worse, but it's only going to keep going down that road until people start to demand professionalism again. And I think that goes across the whole. We're seeing in the States right now what's going on with media and stuff like that. And I think the media itself has to start to step up and become more professional.
Well, let me tell you something, my friend. Just from reading everything that you've written, not made out everything, but everything that I've read that you've written, and it's amazing. You're in depth, and you can tell you're a professional at what you do. And I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us. Check out Jim Barber at Music Life Magazine, and go ahead.
Thanks, man. No, I was just going to say, it's if you're having trouble falling asleep, go on Music, because my articles are long.
And they are, but they're good though. They're very well written. And I remember
they're great
saying,
for airplane. If you're going on a trip somewhere, call the site up, and you'll be there in no time. So no, I appreciate the call, and I appreciate you the kind words. I'm kind of a grizzled veteran of the scene, and just keep plugging away, and I'm having fun, and that's the number one thing. So
awesome, Jim Barber, musiclifemagazine.net.